So there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is summer is inching its way closer to the end, but the good news is wine harvest is almost here. So for the next few episodes, we're going to be talking all about familiar wine terms that maybe actually aren't all that familiar to you, and hopefully dispel some myths and have a little bit of fun along the way. Today we are talking all about cool climate, and it's time to get started. Hi everyone, I'm Erin from the Wine Sisters. Welcome to our YouTube channel where we teach you all about how to eat, drink, and entertain like a pro. Today we're getting down and dirty into the wine terminology that is so popularly thrown around, but sometimes leaves more people in the dark than it does enlighten. And today we're talking about cool climates. So often this is the buzzword that we love to talk about in the wine world, but regular wine drinkers are like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. Well, basically, in a nutshell, the bottom line is cool climate wines, or wines that come from cool climate, comes from vineyards where maybe they struggle to ripen the grapes all the time, and perhaps during certain vintages, certain late ripening varietals don't actually ripen at all. But that's not as bad as it may seem. If you've ever enjoyed champagne or a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, maybe a Chardonnay from Ontario or a Pinot Noir from Oregon, these are all examples of cool climates, and they all make terrific wines. But what exactly is the definition of cool climate? That one's a bit tricky and it can get even more murky, but let's try and dispel it here. So cool climates, as opposed to warm climates, these are climates where we have shoulder seasons and a distinct growing season, and we don't necessarily have the opportunity to always get that intense heat to really ripen the grapes. Instead, what we might produce, or cool climates might produce, are wines that have lower alcohol, higher acidity, a little bit more leanness and finesse, and we might choose to use words to describe these wines as crisp, fresh, bright. Certainly they're going to be lower alcohol and higher acidity, so with white wines you might use descriptors like lemon or green apple, and for red wines you might use words like red cherry or cranberry. So these are the kinds of descriptors that you get when we're in warm climate, and warm climate could include certain parts of California or South Africa or Australia. Those places have such intense heat during their growing seasons that we often will use words like baked fruit or jammy fruit, and instead of using red cherry we might use black cherry for reds, and instead of using green apple for whites we might find more yellow apple in those wines. But back to cool climate. So cool climate, like we said, these are produce delicious wines of finesse and leanness, and absolutely have gorgeousness to these wines. But it gets a little bit more complicated than that as well, because within a larger swath of land, there's often microclimates, and that can be impacted from where your vineyard is situated. Is it higher up on a hill or a steep slope? The elevation could influence that microclimate of the grapes. Similarly, are you located next to a body of water? So in Ontario, all of our vineyards surround the Great Lakes. California, of course, has an ocean. So does South Africa. So does Australia. These can all provide cooling effects. So you can ostensibly have a warm region, but a cooler microclimate within that warm region. And similarly, you can have a cool region like Ontario or New Zealand and have a hot pocket within that region. Adding to a little bit more of the confusion, just because why not? What the hell? Climate change is real, my friends. So you could end up very well getting a cooler year in a warm climate, and you could end up getting a really hot year in a cooler climate. So there's a lot of influences that will go into whether your wine is cool climate influenced or warm climate influenced. But generally speaking, if you're reading a wine review or a sommelier is talking to you, or you're at the wine shop and someone suggests that this wine has very cool climate factors, that cool climate means that your wines, you can probably bet on the fact that your wines are going to be more moderate alcohol, definitely brighter, mouth-watering acidity. They're going to have more delicate perfumes and more delicate flavors, and those flavors are going to skew more towards the bright, possibly even tart notes. The good news about that as well is that cool climate wines have a tendency to go with a wider range of foods than warm climates, but at the end of the day, all wines are great. So I hope you learned something here today. If you did, please leave us a comment or ask me a question. I'll be sure to get back to you. And don't forget to like this video. If you want to get alerted to every time we drop a new video, well, hit subscribe and that bell, and you will be alerted to every new video that comes out every week. So until next time, friends, Stay well, drink better.